Of Manifestation TV. We're here re-recording with the beautiful global personal brand strategist. Do I have that in the right order? Sade Adu. She is so amazing. And we're back here because we had technical difficulties the first time, but I feel like it's going to be better.
It's going to be better.
It already is.
It already is.
Yay.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome. So introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your journey to this point and just kind of a synopsis of what your mindset shifts have been to becoming a personal brand strategist, global.
So once again, my name is Sade Adu, and I am a personal brand strategist, but this story really started when I was overseas in Kazakhstan. I lived there for 3 years. I did not want to go. It was something that I thought I could not do, especially someone like me who is young and black and a black woman going to a predominantly Muslim country where people don't look like me. I thought it was something that I should not do, and I ran away from it as fast as possible until some crazy people decided that I should go. And they convinced me that I should go. And I said, why am I so afraid? Every time I feel apprehension and tense about something, I have to reevaluate what's that feeling. And it usually is a feeling of not being worthy of going to that next level. And I knew that if I did not get on that plane and go, I would regret it for the rest of my life, because I would always have that what if in my head.
That is so powerful. And if you follow Sade at all on social media, you'll notice that she does travel a lot. I don't know if she's like in the $1 million club of like air miles points or whatever that is, but she could be very close. And she's traveled to lots of places, even by herself, like Morocco, I think you were in.
By yourself. And that was the spark. I didn't know it was going to be a life of traveling around the world and impacting people in the education field. And then I also started my business overseas because I wanted to be able to continue this lifestyle, but I knew there was a calling to do more. People were inspired by me. They started traveling. Some of my friends now are moving to China left and right. I can't keep up with where everyone is. And I literally have friends, and I call them family, around the world in multiple continents. And that was really a spark that happened because they saw me do what they believed that they could too. And while overseas,
oh my God. It's like we can't have this interview. Sorry.
While being overseas, I call them like these stair-step deaths or bookend deaths. When I first went a couple of months, a friend of mine who was 22 passed away. And a couple of months before I was about to leave, my cousin passed away. And they were both 22. And it was something about both of those deaths that really set some signals off in my brain that there's something that I need to do. And the first one was, your life is too short. You need to enjoy it. Wake up and start enjoying your life, living and traveling and doing things that you never thought you would possibly do, like eating a cockroach in Cambodia and traveling on elephants and camels. And
okay, what do you say to people who are like, well, I don't have the money to do that?
That's what we all think, but it was cheap for me to do it. I spend less money. I just took a trip. I was in California for 2 weeks. The amount of money I spent in California for 2 weeks, I could have traveled the entire Southeast Asia for about a month. The amount of money
it's mindset.
For 2 weeks in California.
Plane ticket and a backpack, right?
And I did that. That was my gift to myself for my 25th birthday. 5 countries in like 25 days. And it was phenomenal. But I knew that there was more to me than just traveling and having fun. I knew there was a purpose. I knew I needed to inspire and impact more people. So I decided while I was still overseas with good internet, semi-great internet, I became a certified life coach. And I knew that I was supposed to tell people these stories and spark something in them while I still had breath. Because although my cousin and my friend passed away at 22, both of them, they had impactful lives. I mean, both of them, they had bus loads of people come to their funerals, chartered buses. They had, stadiums full of people. Both of them now have scholarships in their names because they were so impactful. My cousin's obituary was in the Wall Street Journal. 22 years, both of them impacted so many people. that I said, there's no way if I'm living past that age that I can just travel and be aimless and not be intentional about why I'm here and who I'm supposed to impact. So for both of them, I was inspired to keep on going, that there was more. And I know that they wanted me to push more. And both of them were really impactful in my life. And I just realized that I can't, my friend, the first one, before he passed away, there was like maybe 48 hours, and I wanted to talk to him, and I wanted to say, oh, I'm so proud of you. And because of that pride, that energy, I was like, oh, I'm not going to say anything. 48 hours, he was gone. And I was like, I can no longer live life like that. I have to be willing to take those chances. I got to be willing to take more risk, because if I don't, I won't have that chance again. So that was really powerful. That really got me in motion. And then my cousin's death woke me up again, because I thought, oh, I did everything. I traveled. I was by myself. I lived on my own. They told me, go to school, get a great job. I did that. So I thought that was it. And that next death said, no, there's still more for you to do. So sometimes tragedy happens in our life to force us to take action and force us to move to the next step. So through that, I started my business, and then that was a new thing for me, because that was a new mindset. I'd always been well in school, anything that had to do with academics. Now things that had to do with travel, I was cool with it. It was not even an issue. But starting in the business and helping entrepreneurs build their businesses and their brands was like a new thing for me. And that was scary, because you're starting all over again. You spend all this time getting all these credentials and learning all this stuff.
Yes.
To start all over again, be the baby again, that was scary. And I hid from that gifting and talent of helping entrepreneurs be seen. And I knew I was supposed to help people create wealth. It wasn't about me just building wealth for myself. It was about me creating wealth for other people. And I couldn't be selfish with that gift.
Oh my God, that is such a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. That's really vulnerable and personal. And I think it's so poignant, and there's no reason why not bring that into the entrepreneurial world. And anyone whose life has been touched by some kind of tragedy, or even not, even if you've by proxy heard of someone else's tragedy, like take that to heart. YOLO is not just a hashtag. Like, it's the truth. You do only live once, and you do only have this experience once. So why apply the kind of like old mindset to this new path in your life? Like, why does entrepreneurship have to be, like this treachery, drudgery, struggle? You're bringing that mindset to it. What if you brought to it, I only live once. I want to share my gifts. How can I do that? I only have so much time. How many people can I touch? Instead of being driven by the money or the fame or whatever it might be. So I love that. Thank you for sharing with that. It's really, really powerful. What are your thoughts on the big break in business?
The big break takes some time. It takes a lot of small cracks and fractures to happen. People always think, we talk about these overnight success stories, but a lot of the people that I follow and I admire, I always ask them, like, tell me a little bit behind the scenes. Tell me what it takes to get to that level. My conversation with Amber Aziza, her story about eating Cheez-Its because she didn't have money. Kim Luna's story about being on welfare, and, sharing a story about, my kids were eating Thanksgiving dinner on the floor. And those are the stories that sometimes we try to shield from people. We don't want them to see that we struggle too. It's painful having struggle. And even for me, I remember, because of the credentials and all of that stuff, working on a PhD and having all those accolades, people see that. But I'm like, I knew that there was more. I knew that I had to do more. And my big break hasn't happened. That big break, or making it, what people will say, I knew that I wasn't living up to my fullest potential. I was only living up to an ounce. And although my ounce looked really good and looked really great and glossy to people looking on the outside, I knew inside of me that I was not giving what I was supposed to be giving to the world. I was doing a disservice. So that that back piece. And I remember, and a lot of times when we do make it and we hit these marks in our lives that people say, that people celebrate, whether it's a financial mark, something that's happened in your personal life, milestones, we hit those milestones. People are like, wow, you've made it. But they really have to take some time and look at the story behind that milestone.
Thank you. Thank you. Take a look at the story behind the person that you're admiring. How many years, how many hundreds of thousands of dollars possibly
taken to get there?
Taken, if not the money, how many years, has it taken them to get there? And there is like a piece of the puzzle that's like divine, right? There's like a divine timing to everything in the way that your business evolves, and the speed at which it evolves. Do you have a daily practice that keeps you in alignment with your goals and desires and what you want to manifest?
I know the last time we recorded this, I said what I wanted to do. I have been thinking about it. And I think I unintentionally do it, but I want to be more intentional about it. Practicing gratitude is super important to me. I talked about this before. Living in Kazakhstan, in a developing nation, there were months that we didn't have hot water or water coming out. So water pressure, like Oprah would say in her book, The Things I Know for Sure, I'm grateful for water. Last night at my home, there was a blackout. So when the electricity came back on, I'm grateful that there is air conditioning and internet so I can run my business. Sometimes it's really down to the basics. You just have to be happy and gracious. I'm gracious for Agnes, and I was talking about her yesterday. You yesterday. I really am in a season of being grateful because I know that the people who have been called to be in my life are going to help me go to the next level. And if I'm not grateful for them, I need them to know that. I need to know that I value you and that I appreciate you. And I appreciate just basic things. Being able to get up in the morning. Being able, like I said, just internet and air.
It's a simple but very powerful practice.
Like, if I get mad and frustrated that, something, a computer program is not working, I'm just happy that I get someone that's able to help me, that knows how to do it. So life is too short for me to stress out about things that are not important and not valuable. So I just try to find the bright side of at least every single thing that I do in life. I'm not always happy, but I try my best to see the good in everything.
Beautiful. And gratitude is like really needs to be something that's part of the entrepreneurial journey because and in the life journey period, because you get more of what you are grateful for. So the more that you're grateful for the one client you have, or the one discovery call that you have, or the one opportunity you have to talk to someone, the more of that you will receive. The more you focus on what you don't have, unfortunately, that's more of what you get. And that's a cycle that a lot of people are stuck in, which is why they're always looking for the quick fix. You stop needing the quick fix when you focus on what you have and growing what you have. So that's a wonderful point. I love that. Gratitude. So, so important, guys. What has your relationship to money been on this journey?
When it came as a young child, my mother always said that I was the money kid. My brother and she said those two are always going to have money. So it was something that we always knew. Someone needed $1, I always had it. And I said, here you go. It wasn't something that I was afraid of. I always knew. And people, when I went into education, people would say, oh, you're not going to make money as a teacher. And I said, yes, I am. You don't know what kind of teacher I'm going to be. I always knew. And people said, oh, you're not going to be able to afford student loans. And I said, whatever. I never thought about those kinds of things. And I was able, when I was overseas, I paid off like $30,000 or $40,000 in like less than 2 years. It was never an issue for me. Getting money to go to school, finding money.
This is a really, really important point for the audience.
It was
She
not.
didn't ever focus on the problem of money.
It never was.
Never an issue. Do you hear that? Do you understand that? How
not.
many of you are sitting watching this thinking, worrying about, thinking about, and putting all that nervous, anxious energy towards money?
It was not. in the education field until I got to entrepreneurship, and it shifted. It was something I had to reprogram myself and reframe myself that I could now, instead of earning money, I had to be a wealth creator. That was a shift, because anytime I always got money from other people, whether, I got an allowance from my father and I was able to save it, or I made money at a job that I knew was coming in. We got paid monthly. I knew that check was going to be coming in. Now I shifted into becoming someone who had to create money from what they knew. That was scary, and it shifted me. It paralyzed me for months. And I was running an expensive hobby because I was living off the money that I'd already made overseas. I'd saved some, but I was bankrupting my business because I was afraid to step into the wealth creator status and own it. Until I realized if I don't make any money, I'm going to be out of business.
Yeah.
It came down to the wire, because I was looking for jobs, because I knew, even as a doctoral student, I get asked almost monthly. Every single day I get job opportunities, to the point that I send them to my friends who still teach. I've gotten my friends jobs all of the time. To the point that they ask me to teach classes, because I can be a professor if I want to. I just don't want to. They're like, "Are you sure you don't want to teach this class?" So I'm always tantalized by going back into my old life, where I can be comfortable, have my credentials, and everyone thinks I'm doing well in life. And I was like, no, I'm going to take this risk into entrepreneurship and create wealth. And once I was ready to backtrack, and literally on October 15th, I was like, if I don't do something, if I don't make money, I'm not going to be able to run this business anymore, because my expenses are too high. And I tell this story. My mother, her birthday is in October. And instead of me sending her a birthday card, she sent me an encouragement card with all these positive words and affirmations telling me that I can make this happen. And literally on her birthday, I talked about how I just messed up my first 5-figure month. I screwed it up. I talked about not asking for the sale. I spoke to 40 entrepreneurs, and I can't tell you how many I did not ask to work with me.
Wow. This is a brilliant story.
Talking to people, listening to their stories, being able to solve their problem, and I did not even provide them with a solution. Not only is that selfish, it's not good business. Until I opened myself up and released the burden of feeling like I had to do everything by myself, I worked with a virtual assistant, and I had her call in those people back, some of them. She was like, well, let's look at your list and see who may be interested. So we narrowed that list of 40 down to about 10 people. And out of that 10, about maybe 5 to 8 people said yes. And it changed the trajectory of my business. Just giving them a solution that I already was capable of giving them.
Well, you'd already given them the value. They already had the value. You were just pitching them something.
They just needed to know that there was an opportunity for them to have a solution for their problem.
Huge, 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 huge breakthrough. That's incredible. Woo. So that's an amazing story, guys. And hope you're tapping while you're listening to this, because this can be true for you too. Don't be afraid to ask, like Sade came from the place of almost overvalue, where she gifted 40 people with her value and then forgot herself, but came back and saved it, right? Came back in the ninth inning or whatever, and was like, no, I'm not going to let this ship sink. So there's always time to shift. Your mindset can shift things in a moment. And in a month, you had a turnaround, right?
Less than that. That 7-day period, a week going into the end of October, November, changed my business. And I was able to stay in business, and it's been skyrocketing since. But even now, I'm like, I know that I see that I'm in another shift, but I'm not where I was last year. I'm not there. And I know that this is a new season of a new shift. And of course, whenever you go through these shifts or these growing pains, because that's what my business is definitely going through right now, you got 2 options. You either are going to retreat, which is my natural instinct, or you push forward through it, because we know what's going to happen on the other side. There is going to be a breakthrough.
Yep.
That ceiling is going to crack, and you're going to be victorious on the other side. So now that I'm fully cognizant and intentional about how this story is going to end, I just need to keep pushing through. So
which is why we need guides and mentors like
Mhm.
Sade. This is why you need someone like Sade in your life, because you need someone who knows the process, who can be at the finish line going, you're like almost there. Like, don't stop right now. You're almost there. Or in mindset where like, if I didn't have a guide or I didn't have a coach for mindset, I could think I'm so far away from the next like income ceiling breakthrough and be like, forget it and give up. And my coach is like, I've been there. You're a sliver away. Keep pushing. And it's really, the Olympics are on right now while we're recording.
Yes.
But it really is very like an Olympic feeling. Like, don't give up when you're so close to the finish line. Just because you can't see it, just because it's not like right there, you can't touch it yet, doesn't mean anything can happen.
Keep going. I mean, that and having a coach, and we talked about this before. At that time in October, someone in a Facebook group was offering manifestation sessions and vision sessions. And I was like, okay. And we mapped out what I wanted my life to look like 6 months from that period. And I'd forgotten about it. I didn't think about it. And I looked at, and 6 months from that was April. And the things that we talked about were happening. The things that financially, clients, where I wanted my business to be, it was happening. And I say all the time, sometimes, like Agnes said, you can't see it. You really need someone else to see things for you.
Yeah.
Because we have our blinders on. We're in the storm. So we can't see what's going on. We can't see the light. We can't see the rainbow at the end. We just see the storm. We see the hail. We see the snow. We see the tornado happening. So when we're in that season, you need someone else that can say, keep on going, keep on going. And I mean, that was super powerful for me.
Yeah. And it manifested like the business that you have now. So that's incredible. So I think that kind of brings us to our last point, which was about what you'd say to people in the struggle, which is keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going. Be realistic about where you are. If you started 3 months ago, like make sure your expectations are in line with that, really. And not to play small, because like things can happen overnight too. Your mindset can like blow through things really quick as well. But just like, be like joyful about the process, as opposed to like, I gotta hit these goals or I'm a loser and I'm gonna beat myself up about it. And have a support team, have a support community. Join manifestationtv.com. Join Sade's group, The Greater Living Experience. And be in a community where everyone is going through similar stages in their business. Be supported. Finally, what is one of the coolest things you've ever manifested and one of the worst things you ever manifested? We'll end on that. We'll tell us the worst first and then the best. We'll end on that.
So I have a vision board, and meeting people on that vision board and having it, I think it manifested last year around this time. And it was someone I admired. I loved her story, but she's a little crazy.
Now you have to tell us, who is it? Is she famous?
Intense energy.
She's internet famous?
Yes. Internet. She's very popular. I'm not saying her name. I think I did that for like 2 people. And okay. Yeah, both of them in August, they were very intense and our energies didn't mesh well. And I was like, I have to start being more intentional about who I manifest, who I look up to, because anyone I've basically wanted to meet or have an interaction with, whether I read their book, I have been able to meet them, speak to them, connect with them some way, shape, or form. People that I used to just admire online, we're having conversations, or they're saying, call me and let's connect. And in the last 12 months, just about anyone I've wanted to connect with, it has happened. And literally there's someone I've been talking about her forever. She lives in London and she's going to be in New York today. And I got an invitation. And I'm like, she doesn't even live in this country. So
cool.
I get to meet her today. I've been following her blog for years. I didn't even know she was in the US. So just things like that. It keeps happening over and over and over again. And I have to get more intentional about the people that I say I want to meet and be around, because I keep meeting them. And so most of the time
So
it ends
cool.
up really well.
So cool. So focus on what you want because you can manifest it. Vision boards work, and be intentional. Like, really check these people out. Who are you looking up to? Who are you putting on a pedestal maybe? And realize we're all on the same page. Because when you meet them, sometimes you're like, oh,
yeah. Some people are
big
like,
deal I thought you were going to be.
Most people I'm like, awesome, they're still cool. But some people I'm like, oh, well, it was good to know.
Yeah.
The best thing I think I manifest is probably first class tickets. It's happened. People have, and I knew in my head, and God was really telling me that I need to fly first class. This is something that I know that I'm, and one of my promises to myself for my birthday this year is every single year I have to give away a first class. I have to fly first class until I can only fly first class. And then I have to gift a first class ticket away.
Oh, beautiful.
I have to do that every year. That's a calling on my heart. And in the past 12 months, I was going to my seat and coach, and I knew I was supposed to fly first class. And someone said, oh, I'll sit here. You just go to first class. And I was like, what do you mean?
Are you kidding?
She's
wow.
like, just go to first class. Just sit there. And I was so confused. And I had to say, you got to accept it. It's okay. You're getting permission. I already told you you're supposed to be there, but you ignored it. And now I sent somebody else to tell you in human form that you need to sit there. And then I'm always at airports, and I was in line with some guys like, are you getting on this flight? And I said, yeah. He was like, oh, I'm going to go to sleep and I don't feel like sitting in first class. Would you like to sit there? And the second time I said, yes. And
wow,
I took the ticket, and I noticed his last name. He had a Russian last name. So I started speaking to him in Russian, and he was like,
oh, then his
Russian?
brain exploded.
So he was like, what? And we started talking, and I was just like, yes. So now it's okay.
So just hang out in airports and your chances go up immediately of getting first class tickets.
So many people I know, even I've had clients that one client, she manifests she manifests first class all the time. That's where I probably got it from her. She does it all of the time. And you just got to accept it. It's okay. It's okay for someone to be a blessing and a gift to you. And you have to be okay with doing that and pay it forward. So I'm looking forward to that day I decide to buy that first class ticket and give it away.
Well, you better start following Sade now.
I hope that if I'm middle seat, please don't be a middle seat. But other than that,
start following her now. Tell the audience where they can find you, where they can connect with you, and maybe win a first class ticket from you.
Definitely stay connected to me on all social media platforms. You can find my Facebook group at breakfastbranding.com. breakfastbranding.com, because breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Yes.
Your brand. So find me there and let's stay connected.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sade, for your time, for sharing your story and your incredible manifesting insights. Thank you, love.
Thank you so much, Agnes.